Next, we want to use the US rule to determine the balance due on the note at the date of maturity, or when it's all needs to be paid back. We also want to find the total amount of interest paid, as well as how much interest was saved by making a partial payment. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on here. So we have a loan of $2,400 at a rate of 7%. The origination or start date was April 10th, and the due date is July 7th. This is also the date of maturity. Now there was a partial payment that was made of $500 on May 5th. So let's see how the US rule applies with this partial payment. So one way to set these up is by listing your dates across the top. So go ahead and list your start date of April 10th. Then give yourself a little bit of space and list your partial payment date of May 5th. And that was our only partial payment. And then the due date is July 7th. So then list July 7th right here. Now the first thing we want to do is find the number of days in between each of these. Okay, so here is April 10th, which is day 100, May 5th, which is day 125, and then July 7th is 188. Okay, so how many days between April 10th and May 5th? Well, 125 minus 100, or 25 days. And then how many between May 5th and July 7th? Well, 188 minus 125, and that's going to be 63 days. Okay, so on April 10th, we know this is true. We owe $2,400 at a rate of 7%. So 25 days later, what we need to do is find the interest that has accrued onto our account. So we're going to use I equals PRT, and it's going to be 2,400 times our rate of 7% times the time, which is the exact number of days, 25, over 360. Okay, and you can use your calculator to find this. We've had lots of practice doing that. And this turns out to be $11.67. So what we need to do now is find our new balance on May 5th. And what that's going to be, your balance is always going to be your principal plus your interest minus whatever payment you make. Okay, so our principal had been $2,400 right here, and we're going to have to add on $11.67, and then we're actually going to subtract our payment amount of $500, so minus 500 there. And that's going to give us a new balance of, let's use a calculator, so 2,400 plus 11.67 minus 500, and so we have a new balance of $1,911.67. Okay, so that's our new balance as of May 5th. Okay, then we move on and perform the same calculations, but we do them for July 7th. So we're going to run I equals PRT for July 7th. Now the principal is your new balance. So we need to take this 1911.67 and put that in for our principal. Our rate did not change, 0.07. But our time was the time from May 5th to July 7th, so that's 63 days. So times 63 over 360. Okay, And so if we use our calculator here, we have 1911.67 times 0.07 times 63 divided by 360, and we get $23, and we'll round to 42 cents. Okay, so on July 7th, this is the due date. So we want to find out how much is due on this day. And so if we wanted to find our new balance, it's going to be 1911.67 plus the interest that accrued of $23.42. Okay, so we're going to do 1911.67 plus 23.42 equals. Now notice we didn't subtract anything like we did on May 5th because we're not making a partial payment, we're paying off everything. And so the amount we would have to pay off right on July 7th is 1935.09. Okay, so let's go back to our question. It says, use the U.S. rule to determine the balance due on the note at the date of maturity. So we know this is due at maturity. Okay, a couple other questions. It says, find the total amount of interest paid. Well, to do that, we would simply go through and find all of our interest amounts, and we're going to add those up. So we'll just say total interest. That's going to be 11.67 plus 23.42. Okay, and the total interest then was 35.09. And then the last question says how much interest was saved by making that partial payment. So what's the point of making a partial payment? Well, you end up saving interest in the end. So what we want to do is compare this total interest with the interest as if we never made that partial payment. Okay, so we would have had a principal of $2,400. Our rate would have still been 0.07, and the time would have been from April 10th to July 7th, a total of 25 plus 63 days, which is 88 days, divided by 360. Okay, so do you see that this would be the interest had there been no partial payments? So a full 88 days. So let's go ahead and find what that is. So we have 2,400 times 0.07 times 88 divided by 360. And we get $41.07. So the question is, how much interest was saved? Well, the interest saved would be the difference here. So we would have had to pay 41.07. Instead, we only paid 35.09. So let's just subtract 41.07 minus 35.09. And so that saves us $5.98. Okay, so by paying this additional $500 here on May 5th, we ended up saving $5.98 off of our total loan here. Now, it may not seem like a lot of money, but it adds up, especially when you start putting more zeros behind these loans as you buy cars and houses and everything else. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. All right, for this next one, I want you to go ahead and try this one on your own and then bring that to class and we can check the answer there.